I don't think I'm a Luddite, but since lockdown I've found that a rapid reliance on the internet to provide services have led to frustration and annoyance that have sometimes made me want to smash up my phone or computer. And if you're trying to help somebody else, an elderly parent perhaps, navigate the NHS and doctor's appointments, banks and council inquiries online, you may sometimes ask, how did life get this complicated? Especially when these online changes purport to make life easier. Anyway, it was refreshing to come across this interview with NAOMI Alderman on the Today programme about digital exclusion and the general frustration of a world moving faster than everybody can adjust to.
QR codes, they are everywhere in our lives, on restaurant tables instead of written menus. They're there to access promotions and much else besides. It is not all a good thing, according to NAOMI Alderman, who wrote a piece in Wired magazine the other day. She's a novelist and also someone who has been part of the tech and games industry as a writer and designer. She's here in the studio. Morning, Naomi.
Nice to be here.
What is the problem with them?
I think we've all had that experience of walking into a hairdresser or a restaurant or whatever and wanting to find out what the list of things that we can buy there is. And instead of being handed a paper menu, who remembers paper menus now, we get pointed towards a QR code, which you need a smartphone to access. Often they don't work. And when they do work, you're sort of squinting, trying to enlarge it. In my case, at the age that I am now, taking off my glasses, trying to look at my phone. There are a few different problems. What we're talking about here is a situation in which we had quite a good solution for a problem, and we've introduced a digital solution. People introduced them a lot during the pandemic, and actually a lot of people can't access it. So if you're a child, how do you show your child a menu? You've got to pass them your phone. If you're somebody who doesn't have a smartphone, either you can't afford one, you don't want one, maybe you're an elderly person who is a little bit over all these technological developments. So what we're talking about here is digital access and the idea of things being over-digitised. I am a fan of technology in many ways, but we need to think about socially how we roll that out and when we cut off routes that used to exist.
A lot of the time, the changes that are made are for the benefit of the shop, cafe, service, rather than the individual, or in the case of social interaction, so with self-service tills or online menus, the customer becomes much more isolated in their day-to-day interactions.
You and I are about the same age, and I share some of your frustrations.
You're also taking your glasses off when you look at the screen.
Well, certainly also not wanting to be so attached to my phone all the time, and certainly it does open up very small. But let's face it, the kids are different.
Well, I think many of us would like to be able to introduce our children to times of the day and a world in which you can just put your phone away. And I think the idea that you're constantly being led back to the phone probably isn't good for any of us. These aren't even necessarily the best ways of getting that information. So QR codes are a great example because I'm not sure I've ever been happier to see one than I have been to see a paper menu.
Click here for a video about projection.